Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Octoman, and this is a tutorial about how to create a mini-map, or actually a custom mini-map, for example, for a racing game, or probably some other games as well, which are about the same topic. So, what does all of that mean? Is at first we need to check out the scene first, and I'm gonna explain you what we are going to do here. So, the very first stuff is what is your game about, and that's what you need to know at the very first. So, for me, I'm currently working on a, let's say, rock and roll racing style. Racing game where you can later on use boosting and shooting and all that stuff. And also, started to create AI for this as well. So all these cars you're gonna see in just a second are actually moving based on AI as well as on they decide on their own basically what they're going to do. They're gonna follow a simple path, and the rest is going to be driven by some mathematical calculations, but that doesn't really matter for this live stream right now. So I'm gonna show you pretty quick what's going on, but as a player later on, when I have no players set up at the moment, just AI in this case. But later on, if I am the player, I would like to know, okay, where are the other cars in my little scene over here? And that's why I want to create a minimap which I can customize on my very own. So however I like that to look, I can do that. And if I follow the minimaps which have been created for rock and roll racing later on, as you also probably have seen on the screenshot, there are just thin lines which are representing, okay, this is somehow the racing track from the top. I'm gonna discover all of that as well in just a second, of course, or in a minute or two. So let's dive into this. At first, I'm going to show you pretty quick what the game is about, and then we're going to go into the topic, into the minimap game creation. So as you can see, these four cars over here are going to drive on their own. They're using mechanics like, once again, a simple pathfinding system combined with rigid bodies and wheel colliders and all that other stuff, and they're going to drive around. But what you cannot see is, where's the green car? Where's the blue or where's the yellow car? Is it far away from me? Is it close or is it not? And I don't really know. So, and if let's assume this purple car here is going to be our player later on, which we always have the camera onto, we want to make sure, of course, that we know, okay, where are the other cars, and probably do some shots with rockets so we probably can shoot them later on down, even from a reservoir distance, for example. And since we want to do that, and since we want to wrap our head around this minimap or this area where we are driving into, we want to create our own custom minimap for this. So as you can see, the green car already made one round, circled one round, or it also gets the green car, or the purple car in this case, in just a moment. So once again, let's dive into minimap stuff. So first things first, we want to make sure how is our actual area, how does it look? And what we want to do is, in this case, we go to the top view, so we press on the Y one, and we make an isometric view by tapping on this one. So you can see this is the actual track at the moment from the very top. And I want to make sure that I only see these, let's say, outlines and inward lines and maybe the goal area over here on my mini map. So that's the first thing. Also, if you have a rather unorganized scene like I at the moment have, you want to make sure that all the pieces which are related to the track itself are going to be, let's say, under a specific game object, on an empty game object. So let me pretty quick create one so you can see what I'm after and what I mean by that. First, I want to reset this one to 0, 0, 0. Basically, it doesn't really matter for me at the moment, but as you can see, my 0 is over here. So I built this track somewhere, and I really don't care where I built this. The minimap later on is orienting itself to this particular game object. What I want to do is I want to drag this into the center of my complete track over here. So this is where basically the minimap is going to target to. So then I'm going to take all my pieces over here, since I have a rather crowded hierarchy, as you can see. So keep everything organized as good as possible. And I want to rename this one to baby hashtag track. So you can, no matter how it is looking, you can do this every time. Okay, so now I take all these pieces over here and put them onto track. So now as you can see, it's not so crowded anymore. The hierarchy is kind of clean up and I can simply select the track one as well. So what I now want to do is, of course, I want to create a canvas which is holding an image to represent the minimap in a second. So let's do this at first. We're gonna go to UI, right-click hierarchy, UI, and we go to Canvas over here. And it also creates automatically an event system, which we basically don't need to have here, but actually it doesn't really matter. So next important thing is you want to set the canvas scaler to scale the screen size, and you want to do this always whenever you're creating a new canvas, of course. And now what we want to create is an image. So just a UI image. When we go to 2D mode right now, and we're going to zoom out quite a lot, you can see, okay, this is going to be an image inside the canvas. We can position it, we can scale it, we can resize it to whatever we like and please, but this is going to represent our minimap later on. I'm going to show you everything in a moment as well. So I'm going to drag this, or maybe make this one like rather even in my case, since I have a rather even, as you can see, yeah, playfield. If you have a, let's say, broader stage, then you want to drag it as far as needed to get the track onto your minimap completely. So for me, it's going to be some kind of square. So I'm gonna start with, for the moment, 10 by 10. Maybe later on, or actually in this case, it's more like a 200 by 200 or something. So I want to make sure that it's going to be a square. Once again, it does not have to be a square. I want to put this somewhere in my scene, maybe in the top left corner. And later on, this will be, let's say, transparent, so I can still see everything. I just want to see the outline, once again, of the complete track over here. And some points for all my cars which are driving around over here. So I'm gonna rename this one like a mini map over here, and of course later on we're gonna put a small script into this, as well as the source image, the sprite we're gonna create in a second as well. So on my minimap, as a child, I want to have some other objects which are going to represent every car in the game. In this case, I'm gonna have 4 cars, so I need 4 of these other images. So I go to UI and create a new image. And I rename this maybe, I don't know, car 1 point. Also, I want to give it any tint, let's say red, for example, as the very start, so we can see what's going on later on. I want to make it whatever color, whatever size you like. So let's say 10 by 10 over here in width and height. So it does not represent anything else but its position over here. So we're gonna drag this maybe somewhere here in the scene. Maybe it's a bit too small. Maybe I make it a bit bigger. Maybe 15 by 15. Once again, this is a design decision you have to do on your own. Also, you can use any other image graphic here as well. You can use circles, you can use your own icons if you like to. You can do smileys. Actually, it's everything which fits into the source image sprite you can put into. I'm gonna use a square now. Probably later on I show you that you can just easily switch that and it will still work. For example, if you use one of these preset ones over here, I don't know where I have one, maybe this knobs. So even this knob is going to do the same as if we have nothing. Okay, so next one is we want to make sure that this car point is going to be child of the minimap. So we drag this onto our minimap. This is important. And now I can duplicate this 3 more times. So if for every car, I'm gonna create a new point. So I have a car 2 point. Then I'm gonna have a car 3 point. And a car 4 point. If you later on want to use this for lootables and stuff, then you need, of course, instantiate points and make them child of the minimap so you can see stuff better. Okay, so we have all these 4 points, and we don't really care where they are at the moment. So, and we're gonna create a script for those points as well in just a second. Okay, so this is going to be the basics of the minimap. Now we go into coding. I'm gonna write some new scripts over here. Gonna make a new folder for that. Gonna name it Minimap, so I know later on, okay, that's what I actually work my stuff into, and I create a C# script and call this Minimap as well. And what I want to do is I want to drag this, of course, onto my Minimap image over here, so we're gonna have a connection to that. as well. Once the compiler is done, of course, so it lets me do it, and open this one up in MonoDevelop or Visual Studio or whatever you like and please. I'm gonna zoom in a bit so you can see stuff better, and gonna take my notes over here and we can go through that pretty quick. So first, Minimap does not need too much stuff over here. We just need to do or take this as calculation for our little points where all that stuff is going to be on. At first, we need to know where do we want to check, or where's the point, the target of the minimap. And as we created this little target point in the center of the playfield, we're gonna make use of that. So this is taking the transform into consideration, and I go call this one target. It needs to be public, otherwise we don't or are not able to drag in the actual minimap target over here. Then we create a little function which is just returning a vector. Two in this case, to create the relation between the points, that little car points, and the minimap itself. So we created this one public because we need to fill in the data from the point into the minimap position over here. We return a vector2, and this vector2 we're gonna call it transform, I don't know, transform position or something. Position. This is going to be our function name, and we put in a vector3 position. So this is going to be the target position which we want to recalculate now. Okay, when we're gonna have, we're gonna create a new vector3 over here, and we call this, let's say, offset. And we're gonna calculate this offset like from its position, so the one we're gonna pass in over here, and we negate this by the target position, so the minimap position basically, or the target object position. In this case, yeah, the target object position. So this is what we look at. So we actually calculate the distance between the car's position we're going to pass in and the target, the target, in this case, the track position, and use that to calculate the offset between those two. Next one is we want to create a new vector2, which is recalculating the new position of the actual point. So we call it a new position is equal to, and now we create a new vector2. In this case, what we're going to take in place is going to be the offset.x and the offset.z, or that values, which we have calculated beforehand over here. Next one is we want to return the result. So the result is new position over here. Don't forget to save. And that's it, at least for the minimap for the moment. So what we're going to do is, once again, we calculate the transform, actually the minimap target object. So which in this case is going to be the track itself, wherever it is. Over here, this one. So I want to have this one inside my minimap over here as a target transform. So I take the track and put this into this position over here in this target slot. So once again, Minimap targets this track. Okay, so basically it doesn't really matter if it is in the center, I guess, but still we're gonna make use of that. So next one is we want to calculate the point distance right now, like these car points over here. So we need to have another script. I call it maybe point or car or loot. You can name it whatever you like to. And we open this one up in MonoDevelop or Visual Studio. Once again, what you please and like over here. So what we need to do is we need to have another transform over here as well. We don't need update, but we need late update in just a second. So at first we want to have a public transform, in this case also a target. So this point is targeting one of my cars. So, and what we also want to have, probably if you later on want to tint your cars, as you have seen, mine are changing the color automatically, which yours probably don't. So, but still I'm gonna put it in so you can see that, how this is going to look. Actually, I need a connection to an image. So because I want to tint the color of the image of the point, which we have created beforehand. So I need to make use of Unity Engine .ui for user interface, and then I can say over here, image is going to be maybe my point. Once again, you don't need to do this because you probably have your icons set up, but I use white images so I can tint them easily with any car color, for example, which I have represent in my other scripts. So, and in start, oh, we need one more, or two in this case. We need at first a connection to the minimap, so we call minimap map over here. Just create this. We get a reference to that in just a second. And we need to have a rect transform. We call this one rect. So because we want to position the rect transform inside our minimap based on the calculation we have done before. Okay, so what do we need to do is at first we need to initialize all of these. We're gonna drag this car automatically in. Later on you can automate that if you like to. For example, when you drop a loot somewhere, then you want to put the transform of the loot inside that over here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get the connection to the map at first. And since the map is a parent object of our point, we're gonna say get component in parent. And the type of component is going to be the minimap component, open close parentheses, close the line with a semicolon. Next is going to be the rect, so the rect transform of this particular image. It's just sitting on ourselves, so we can say rect is equal to get component, open close those triangle brackets. And what we want to get is, of course, the type rect transform, open close parentheses, and close the line with a semicolon. Now I want to tint my point. At first I need to have a connection to my point. So my point is equal to get component, open close parentheses, the curly bracket, oh no, the triangle brackets. And we're going to take an image component over here so we can tint it. And once again, I'm going to take this from my target. And on my target sits a script which I can actually take care of. So I can tell my point dot color, so we can access the color directly, is equal to my target, whatever the target is going to be. In this case, once again, is my car, and on my car I have a car follow script, so it's an AI script which contains that's called car follow, I guess, with 3 R's. But since I have a typo there, I didn't actually made it so that it is going to be correct. And in there I have a scriptable object called NPC. And in this scriptable object I have something like armor, oil, and stuff, and also a car color. I'm gonna show you this scriptable object in just a second. And that's pretty much it. So I tint my car, or actually my point, the point which is related to the target car, to the car color saved in the scriptable object. That's it. So now we have all the references and all the connections to this. So what we now need to do is we need to update the position of our car inside the minimap. So we're gonna make use of late update instead of update because it needs to be happen later than the usual update. In this case, we're gonna create a new vector 2 and call this maybe a new position. So we recalculate the actual point position. And it is going to be equal to map dot, and now we call the function we have created, this transform position, and we pass over the target position. So the target is going to be, once again, the car we are targeting, target.position. And now we get the relative point back. So we're gonna get back a vector, a 2D vector in this case, and we say we transform this onto our rect. So we say rect.local position is equal to the new position. Cool. So now we need to save that script. Don't forget to save always and as often as possible over here. And the next one is now we need to put all of that stuff onto our cars. So I'm gonna take my point script, drag it onto my car points. Once again, these are those little squares over here, and all of them need a target now. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 cars. So I can take them all from top to bottom, for example, and put them as targets into the transform of the car point. So I take my truck setup number 1 into the first one, truck setup number 2 over here, truck setup number 3 over here, and number 4 is going to land in this point. Once again, later on, if you want to automate things, you're absolutely able to do so. You just need to put in the references, for example, on drop. whenever you instantiate a new point for loot or whatever you are after, then you can put this into these points over here, and they're gonna be related to or inside wherever, your screen, whatever you need and like. Okay, so now we have the connection to our cars. So these points are representing the cars, and we have the minimap, which is going to actually target the track. And once again, related to this game object, everything is calculated. So the distance between the current car target to this is going to represent it onto the map. But there's one flaw we're gonna check out in a second. So when I press play now, you're gonna see something fancy. All the points are super close together, as you can see. Why is that happening? Actually, at first we can see that they are driving in a super small circle. So we need to go in further into this map. So you can see actually somehow it seems to work, but still something is way wrong over here. Okay, but before we can fix that, we need to create our graphics for the track. Okay, what I recommend to you, going back to the track once again, select it. Actually, you don't have to, but you can. So double click that and go out of 2D mode. And of course, go into the top view by hitting the Y key and go into isometric view and zoom in. So this is going to be the track from the very top in isometric view, like in orthographic view. What you want to do is you take your snipping tools, for example, gonna create a new snipping and gonna make a screenshot of your track, like so. Now you go to your preferred, let's say, how shall I say, your preferred graphics program, for example. I can make use of Inkscape or Photoshop or whatever you please and like. Gonna make use of Inkscape. I create a new instance of Inkscape and pass in the copied or snipped or whatever screenshotted image into this. You can also use this image, by the way, but probably doesn't look like you like to. Okay, so what you can do is you can bring this in by Control V, and of course I'm gonna zoom it in a bit or out so it's bigger. Actually, just bigger for me. If you are not a graphics guy, you probably want to get somebody to help you with that. So actually, what you can see is I have this inner border and the outer border, and of course, this is the goal area. So if you're going into the top view, you always know where the correct position of that are going to be. Once again, you can take your screenshot if you make it cool, then and you are happy with that. Of course, feel free to do so. But I want to have just these outlines so I can also look through the complete map. Once again, you can also erase all the outer tools over here or the inner tools, all of that stuff together. Now, what I want to do is I want to repaint or actually recreate this outer tools over or this outer rim over here. As you can see, pretty simple. I'll just go through that pretty quick so I can see the result in just a sec. And I'm gonna close that and gonna go to, I'm sorry about since this is not the English version, but I don't think that is going to be too hard for you. If you want to learn Inkscape, I have a course in the description below as well, I guess. As well, there are some other free YouTube tutorials about how to use Inkscape and so on and so forth. So all of that is up to you. So I'm gonna make this one round. So I want to have this as smooth and as lovely as possible, of course. Once again, I don't explain Inkscape right now because this is going to be too time consuming right now for my little tutorial I want to go over pretty quick. So whenever I'm done with all of this information over here and done with designing my tracks, I can also do this for the outer part. Gonna do this pretty quick as well. As you can see, it doesn't take too long time for me. So you probably want to stick your head into this. Gonna make this super simple for me here. And of course, it's looking pretty good, okay, pretty good in the end. So go through that. Gonna make sure that I click onto all the necessary points over here and close that rim. Make sure that I make this maybe a 4 or whatever in a size, and I'm gonna make it round and as close as looking if I like to for my custom minimap over here. Then I increase that pretty quick here and there, organize the points completely as they have to be, or as I guess they have to be, just to make sure that they look how I want. Once again, all of that things are design decisions you have to do later on your own. So, and over here we're gonna have this little part. So you can just create a square over here, maybe without an outline, and you can make it also, you can tint it whatever you like. All of that, once again, is up to you. Gonna bring this into position to make sure that it looks kind of okayish. Also, I light up, well, not this one. I'm gonna light up the outer rim over here. And basically what I can do right now is I just take the back side over here and can basically delete this already. So what I have left is two outlines for my track and this goal area over here. Once again, you can make it also checkerboard like red or what is it, black, white. So you're gonna create your grid over there. What I want to do is also I want to put some kind of a dummy object under it, which is 100% squared, which I can check out over here. The size doesn't really matter. I want to make sure that it is completely at the lowest possible bottom over here, and I make this one white. So as you can see, it still has this outline, so I see where the outlines are going to be. And what I want to take now is I want to make sure that this one is actually related to this one. So I need to make sure that they fit each other. And since that is the wrong position, I guess, I'm gonna need to take them all and center them together. Let's see if that is okay-ish for here. Oh, wrong button. And I want to make sure that my goal, since it moved a bit, I guess it seems to be, oh, it has to be there. Okay, so you can also put in all layers and stuff like that. So now I have a distance also to like the map itself. And I can say, okay, in here I want to have all my little dots from my cars being only here inside this track. Related once again to always be from the center. That's why I center mine like that. So, but I guess probably it also works the other way. Okay, now you need to export this. So you go to PNG export over here, make it maybe 500 by 500, whatever you please and like. Make sure you select them all. And then you want to bring them to wherever, to your desktop. I'm gonna do this pretty quick here, or wherever you want to, directly into your into your project, of course, would be way more interesting in here. I'm gonna name it TUT map, and then I press export. Okay, cool. So since I have this exported, everything is transparent in the background, hopefully. Oh, actually it doesn't, since this one here has color. So now I have to re-export this. Okay. Gonna need to go into the folder pretty quick again. I need to re-export this because I had a non-transparent background, which I don't like to have. Need to go to my desktop again, where my project is inside. Gonna go to my textures folder. You want to create one if you don't have one. And export, override. Cool. So now that we are done with that, I should have in my textures folder my TOT map. And as you can see, this one is black and grayish. Also, we see, okay, this is going to be the goal area, but doesn't look like we want to. So we change the type of this texture to be sprite to DUI and apply the changes, of course, to the prefab or to the sprite. So now you can see everything is transparent if you have exported this one correctly. And now we can put this into our minimap. So we go to minimap and go to textures and take the sprite and bring this over here. So what you can see now, the exported one is going to be in my playfield over here, but the positions of my little dots are not correct. Also, what you want to maybe check is that you want to preserve the aspect ratio. So whenever you're scaling this one up and down, you want to always have, or even if you're making this one like left and right, big and small, whatever, you want to make sure that you have this one always keeping its aspect ratio. Okay, so since we know that we are somewhere small over here, we want to implement some other function or actually some variable into our minimap script. Otherwise, the calculation is going to be wrong. So I'm going to open this one up and I'm going to implement a zoom level. Now you wonder why do we need a zoom level in here? Well, it's rather simple. Gonna show you just in a second. So I'm gonna name it zoom level like so. What we need to do is we need to multiply our newly created offset position by our new position by that zoom level. We can start with a okayish number of something like between 10 and 8. So, or 8 and 10. And what we now want to do is we want to say a new position multiply equal to or by the zoom level. So what we do is we spread apart the distance between the targets related to, or for the drag transform related to the distance from the car target. Let's test it out. When I press play now, you're gonna see that they are now driving way more outside, but they're still not on this line over here. So what you want to do is you want to find out or figure out the best zoom level for you. Let's play with 10 and check out where our points are going to be. Still not a good number as you can see, so let's test out maybe 12. So this is something which you actually need to recalculate on your own or actually test out. Since my squares are kind of big, they might be correct at the positions where they are, so probably I need something like a 13 over here, and then they should be quite close to the position where they actually are. So let's take a look at, for example, the green one. We cannot see the green one, we can see the purple one. Purple one was quite at the row or the outside row, but yeah, cool. So the calculation seems to be quite correct. Once again, if you're unhappy with the zoom level, as you can see, the yellow one was quite outside over here. So probably want to reduce the size of the little quads if you don't like the size of them. But you can do this like easily onto all the car points at the same time by just increasing or decreasing the width and the height. For example, 10 by 10, they're gonna reduce their size, and you can see even better if they are more precise to the track you have created beforehand. Now let me pretty quick show you my little NPC scriptable object, nothing fancy. And also you see where the color comes from. Actually, as you can see, here's a car color over here in my scriptable object about all my NPCs and stats and stuff like that, which I can read out. I already made a video about a scriptable object, so you might want to check this one out, what you can do with that. And in this case, it's going to be just a car color which is sitting in my cars directly. Like over here, the car itself, the car follow script, it has like NPC shred, which is a scriptable object type, and that's where I read the data from. And if you want to check shred currently has a green car over here, so I'm gonna tint the car itself by this color as well as the dot, like the little point over here. I don't know which one it is, but you're gonna see that whenever the racing starts. So you can see now this one is Shred over here. He stumbled upon or inside the outer area, and you can see Shred is coming closer and probably sooner or later makes it through the race. And now we can see this 13 zoom level seems to be quite quite correct. So once again, if you are unhappy with that, with the zoom factor, this one was quite too much. Probably I gonna shrink this one down again to 12, because I guess 12 is going to be the better number for me. Don't forget to, by the way, save everything in your game, and that's everything you need to know about minimaps. Yeah, maybe 12 is even too small. I don't know. So, but still, this is the zoom factor is something you need to decide or need to recalculate, whatever. Or maybe you can automate that zoom factor anyhow. I don't know. Just wrap your head around it, and I bet you're gonna find a solution for that. Once again, if you're unhappy with that square, then you can always put in any sprite you like. You can take one like this knob over here, and then everything will look like a knob. And if you have any other fancy, you can see that over here as well. If you have any other fancy graphics, smileys, or whatever you want to have on site or onto your track over here, then you're absolutely able to put this into your game or into your minimap as a point. Still, well, 12 doesn't seem to fit. I guess 13 is going to be the correct number for me. And yeah, that's everything you need to know about that. Everything about scripting and stuff like that is actually done. So you can see it's rather simple to do this, and you can paint your own minimap. Yeah, anyhow, from the very top in Inkscape, in Photoshop, in GIMP, or wherever you please and like, and yeah, just create your own rather simple one. That's everything I wanted to cover in this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you learned something about minimaps and stuff like that. And yeah, feel free to share this one to the world. This is going to be sooner or later part of my upcoming rock and roll racing tutorial series, probably available, I don't know, in a month or two on Udemy or wherever. I think I'm gonna share this one with you guys. So thanks a lot again for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the description where also some other impressive courses are going to be available. Like, for example, Gallagher just launched pretty pretty decent one. So feel free to check that out as well. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and see you in the next live stream or tutorial. Have a good one, and bye bye.